All right, here we are. There we go again. Okay. All right, we're going to have to figure that out. We're having problems. All right, let's stop that shit right now. All right, sorry about that. And, all right, here we are. Sorry. I'm always screwing something up. It never works. Anyway, hopefully this all comes through okay today. Here we are. As you saw on the intro card, we're talking about East Palestine, Ohio. Eastern Ohio, right on the border of Pennsylvania, on the Ohio River. The media has given this no play. This is a bad deal. Folks, I know my audience doesn't reach out there, but if any of you are listening to me in the area, get out. Evacuate now. It sucks that you're home, but the best thing you can do is get out. I'm telling you right now, I don't know that you've all, if you've done any research into what this stuff is that's spilled out there. We're talking about 1 million pounds of these chemicals, okay? This is a mess. And when people have said this is of Chernobyl proportions, it's up there. This is bad. These chemicals, vinyl chloride, okay, people, vinyl chloride. This is a great chemical, right? Used to make PVC pipe. This stuff has a boiling point of 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means when this train derailed, and I don't know how it derailed, I did see footage of the train going by a station somewhere that had a camera, and the thing was on fire. My best guess is that, that it had a wheel locked up, a brake locked up. Now, one of the things that this train company had decided to do was to, go lax on the maintenance and the safety protocols. So that, that requires them to take care of brakes and stuff. So you have, say you have a wheel or a brake lock up on one of those trains, and that thing just sits there and you're just dragging it down the track, and it's just shooting sparks and just heating up and heating up and heating up. Well, what happens once that thing melts? I mean, all it takes is one thing to go wrong on that train, and it's off, My guess is that's what happened, because they said it was like 40 miles prior to the place where it finally derailed. So when it derails, and you've got 20 cars that are full of these different, impronounceable chemicals, they're all bad. Every one of these is bad, people. I looked at the MSDS sheets on every single one of them, and these are things that I wouldn't want to work with. Now, you're looking at somebody that's spent a good majority of his adult life working around reducers and solvents and, different industrial and commercial coatings, things like that. And, a lot of my health problems, I think, are they might be, they might be coming from the exposure to that shit for over all these years. Excuse me. And the hens are finally coming home to roost, so to say, to use a cliche. I'm not sure. Still going through the process with all of it, and I'm kind of lagging on it right now because I kind of don't want to know. But that's for another time. Anyway, all you folks out there in Ohio, you need to get out of there now. You need to go. You're getting rashes. You're having breathing problems. I've seen people that are having to go to the hospital. Get out. You don't know what you're breathing. This stuff is terrible. Vinyl chloride, 1 part per million is toxic, okay? 1 part per million. Think about that. That's bad. The best it gets with all 4 of these chemicals, I think one of them in a 10-hour workday, 10 parts per million. That's not much. That's in vapor form. So once these idiots burned it, who knows what it did, but what happens when it burns, okay? Let's look into that. What happens to vinyl chloride when you burn it? It turns into hydrochloric acid. Yeah. The shit that they throw dead bodies in vats of to eat up and disappear, you know? I mean, I'm sure you all remember. I remember playing with that shit when I was in grade school. We'd have some of it and you'd drop shit in it and it would just eat it up. That's what it turns into. So that's what's in the sky out there right now. Now, I'm not familiar with Ohio. You know, I've never spent any time there. I don't have any idea what it's like. I don't know what this area is like. It appears to be a rural area. It looks pretty nice, actually. You journalists that are out there, the guy that I saw out there with the stick hanging out in that water, get out of there. Somebody get that guy and get him out of there. You're exposing yourself to some bad stuff. You all are. And it sucks to say it. It sucks to say just leave your pets and leave everything behind, but that's what you need to do. If you've got kids and a family, you know, elderly people that you care about, you got to get out. You have to get everybody, and you got to get out of there. Like, out of there. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. You're talking to a guy who's been around VOCs and chemicals his whole life. I know how to read these MSDS sheets, and I know what I'm looking at, and it's bad. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. It is bad, people. So if this gets to you at all, if you're watching this and you have people in Ohio, share this with them, because I'm legitimately concerned for people right now. I mean, this is beyond a political commentary or social commentary, anything like that. This is a warning. This is me saying, listen, you need to get out of there. You got to go. If you listen to what the government told you and when they said to go back, no. Do not listen to them. They've screwed this up from jump. Your governor screwed it up. I mean, what kind of sense does it make to have the company that spilled this crap all over your backyard? What sense? Well, let's just use these guys to come in and clean it all up. And what do they decide to? Well, we don't really know what to do. Let's just light it on fire. Boom. I mean, it's hitting people. This is gonna affect a lot of the East Coast, and I don't think people understand it. I mean, this is going into the Ohio River. The Ohio River provides 10% of the drinking water in this country. Then you might think, well, 10% right now. Well, 10%, that's quite a bit. That's 30 plus million people get their drinking water from the Ohio, you know? And that's going to feed into, you know, it's going to seep into the Atlantic. It's going to go down into the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to get hit all those, you know, little tributaries and creeks, and it's going to be everywhere. This shit's going to be everywhere. Not to mention, it's going to be falling out of the sky into the rivers. Look at all the dead fish. Look how quick it killed the fish. I mean, this is bad. This stuff is bad. And I'm not positive what the half-life is on it. I mean, everything has a half-life, but this stuff is bad. That stuff has a boiling point of 8 degrees Fahrenheit. I know that doesn't make sense, does it? It seems like, what are you talking about? So it's traveling in a cooled car. So when that thing derailed and you know, went willy-nilly, all that shit, that vinyl chloride, when it spilled, it was boiling. So you've got immediate boiling gas, basically, that's turning into hydrochloric acid in your sky, and then falling down upon everything that you own, all your livestock, all your crops, your trees, your water sources, everything, your homes, your vehicles. You're driving out there in that stuff, and it's you know, it's pumping through, you know, your system in your vehicle. I mean, the recommendation for this stuff, if you're working around it, if you're in a factory that's producing this shit, or they use it to make PVC pipes. So say you work in a factory that makes PVC. Now I'm assuming, I've never been in a PVC factory. I'm assuming it's probably all pretty much automated. It's probably a matter of just punching in, the right code into a computer, and it probably just spits through and pumps the stuff out. But the recommendation is you're wearing a full-on chemical suit, and you've either got a, they don't even recommend using like a half mask respirator. I don't have one in here. But, and here's the thing, if you're wearing one of those, you have to be clean shaven, like I am. I mean, you can have a mustache, you can't have anything around your chin. It's got a seal. And what they do recommend is that you're wearing a full face with organic vapor canisters, or a full face respirator with a separate air source, like what we used to wear out in the oil field when we go in those tanks that were full of H2S gas. Where that shit, if you breathe any of it, you're dead. It will kill you like that. Now that shit's terrifying when you go in one of those tanks and you've got your monitor on your belt and the thing starts beeping and you're like, oh shit, everything that's outside of me, like if something were to happen, like if I had to take this mask off or my mask leaked, you're going, I'd be dead. I mean, and it happens. It knocks you out. And then what happens is people try to go back in and get whoever's fallen out. Well, they're already gone. And that's what they tell you out there. And that's what this. If you see somebody go down, get out. Do not stick around. Don't try and help them at all. They're already, you go. It's one of those. It's like that cowboy on Rogan was talking about being down there doing that underwater cave diving. And how he was down there with somebody inexperienced and it damn near cost him his life because he helped the guy out. And luckily he lived, But I mean, he barely lived. I mean, he was down there contemplating his death because he thought there was no way he's getting out, and he did. But this is what you're dealing with out there, people in eastern Ohio. Pennsylvania, same thing. If you're close to that, if you're anywhere around that cloud of shit, get out of there. I don't care where you have to go. Get away. It's important. This stuff can cause all sorts of long-term effects. It can cause immediate effects. I mean, I'm talking coma, death, when the right people, I mean, you're talking respiratory problems. You're talking down the road, you're talking leukemia, all sorts of cancers. This is bad shit. This is really bad shit. And then they lit it on fire. And then they told you it was safe to go back. It's not safe to go back. You are not safe to go back there. I'm telling you this right now. You can listen to me or not. Maybe you'll hear it, maybe you won't. But trust me, I've probably done more homework on this stuff today than probably most of these people out there did. And the reason I got on this is because I reached out to, and shout out to Charlie Caperton, my brother out there, and he lives in Ohio, and I reached out to him yesterday because I wanted to make sure that he was okay. And I should have gotten in touch with him sooner. I'd been meaning to, I just hadn't. And he assured me that he was all right. And we were just talking about it a little bit, and just how stupid the remedy was. It's not even a remedy. I mean, to go light this stuff on fire. And this stuff, the problem is too, there's not really an absorbent out there that works for it. So what do? I don't know what you got to bury it, basically. I mean, that's the only remedy I saw. Bury it. Encase it in, probably in clay, I mean, and then it's going to seep. You're going to have it seep into your groundwater, I mean, what they did here, this is not, I mean, everybody might think this is just your run-of-the-mill train derailment, but it's not. This, when they say this is like Chernobyl, this is like Chernobyl. This is going to be bad, and this is not just going to affect that area. This is going to affect a lot of people. It's going to affect probably, the East Coast, like the whole East Coast. I mean, we're talking 10% of the country's drinking water. It's a lot of water. And it's, and the fish, It's going to contaminate the oceans. And like I said, this shit is 1 part per million airborne vapor. Think about that. One part per million is toxic. So, I mean, I can pull up the sheets. We can look at them if you'd like. I don't know if you'll be able to decipher them per se, but perhaps. Let's see if I can, I'm going to end up screwing everything up by the time I try and pull those up. So anyway, we were laughing, Charlie and I were, and, even though this isn't very, very funny, but I told him, I said, whatever happened to the days of tar and feathering people? Because here's where we're at. Today's President's Day, right? Where's our president at? Do we even have a president? I mean, I know in theory, in theory we do. This is Pete Buttigieg's problem, number one, okay? Well, first of all, it's the president's problem. Now, he's always talking about how he's Scranton Joe and Pennsylvania this and that. This is affecting people in Pennsylvania just as much as it is in Ohio. They're not getting any action, though, because they're right on the other side of the border, on the other side of the state line. So he doesn't give a shit about Pennsylvania people. All you folks in Pennsylvania that think Scranton Joe's got your back? Dumb. No, he doesn't give a shit. He's in Ukraine, promising another $500 million to those goons. You got that little fucking weirdo that talks like fucking whatever. I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. I feel bad for the Ukrainian people. They're the ones that are just getting shit on this whole thing. But this thing could be done. It should have been done. It should have been done and over. I mean, number one, you just don't shell your own people, even if they speak a different language and they live in a different part of your country, and they're they observe different Russian things. They speak Russian, and they practice Russian Orthodoxy. You don't just send your neo-Nazis out there to shell these people. Okay, that's where this whole thing took off. NATO's been trying to kickstart it since 2014 by promising Ukraine all this shit about how they're going to be in NATO when it was never even a possibility, not ever going to happen. There's conversations where they've explained it to them, not happening. Zelensky still thought it was going to happen even after he knew it wasn't going to happen. I mean, and I don't know what's up with that guy. Speculations is all I have because I don't really know, so I'm not going to say. But anyway, so we were laughing about all this, and I said, how about the good old days of just tarring and feathering people? Let's just go back to that. Because I was reading up some stuff on tarring and feathering the other day for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, it came up about Joseph Smith, the founder of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. He was tarred and feathered back in March 25th, 1832, I think. But they damn near killed him, He thought he was going to die is what he said. He said he did die. He said he was looking down upon himself from out of his body. And I can understand that because I've been there. And it's a weird feeling because you don't know who you are. You're looking down and you see yourself, but you don't know you're you. You're like, oh, who's that guy? It's weird, but that's another time, another place. So he got tarred and feathered. And they didn't use like the tar that they use for asphalt, right? It was pine tar, okay? But it still got really hot. Like the tar they use for like asphalt. I mean, that stuff I think it spits out of the machine at like 270 degrees. That's gonna mess you up. The pine tar, I believe, when they were using that, I think the melting point of that is like 140 degrees. So it's still very hot. It's gonna burn. It's gonna leave. It's not gonna be very much fun. So they, there was a disagreement. I'm not going to get into it anyway. So I was talking about that. I said, well, we just tar and feather some people, these are jokes, people, So we started talking about it. We started making a list. And so I did today, and I went through this today, and I just I put some goofy names to, some little nicknames. And I'm all right with the nicknames. So on my list I've got, of course, Joe Biden, Jim Biden. I'm going to give Hunter a pass to go to rehab again. Get him someplace. Rehab for whatever his affliction is. He's obviously got big time problems, whether it's sex addiction or the drug addiction. They say he's been clean. I don't know. The dude's got problems though. Let's get him some help. I think that dude needs help, quite honestly, I think he's probably had a little bit. For being, the president's son, I don't think he's had the greatest life. So I think he got put in the position that he's in. I don't think he went out there and orchestrated any of this on his own. I think his dad did. I think his dad did him dirty and put him in these spots and put him in these positions. So we're going to send him to rehab and, give him a class for, laptop etiquette and why he shouldn't film himself naked all the time smoking Parmesan cheese. Okay. Next on the list, we got Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Okay. Tarred and feathered. Yep. And right after that, we got Kamala Embarrass Harris. Yeah. Take her cackling ass and yeah, tarred and feathered. Nancy the Tooth Walker Pelosi. She also gets it. Even at 82, I don't care however old she is. She gets it. AOC, yeah, you know me. Yep, you're getting it. Chuck the Tumor Schumer. Mm-hmm. Mitch Monaco McConnell. Yep. The Clintons. I don't. What do you say for a nickname for the Clintons? That's not much you can say there. Everybody, that's just kind of redundant. Who else we got? Oh, yeah, we got George Strategery Bush Jr., tarred and feathered. John Statler or Waldorf Bolton, the mustachio warmonger guy, tarred and feathered. Liz the Wiz Cheney. Dick the Rifleman Cheney, tarred and feathered. Debbie Down the DNC Wasserman Schultz. Yes. Lindsay Moonlight Graham, tarred and feathered. Lloyd Keep Austin Weird, tarred and feathered. Janet, is anybody listening to me yelling? I thought that's my favorite one. That's for sure. Been there, done that, Bernanke, tarred and feathered. Alan Lolita Express Dershowitz. Same story. Maxine needs a drink of waters. I like that one too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just cracking myself. I've got Adam Chicken Little Schiff. Twice. He gets it twice. for every time he lied to everybody. Adam Crypuss Kinzinger. Yeah, that crybaby. He's really not going to like getting tarred and feathered. And then let's see who else we got on the list here. We got John Suction Cup Kirby. Jake All Living a Van Sullivan. James the Flapper Clapper. John by Men and Brennan. Jamie Raskin Robbins. Ellen Wife and Go There Degenerate. Lion Brian Williams. Jeffrey All Hands on Deck Tubin. Anthony Oscar Meyer Wiener. Huma Squeaky Clean Aberdeen. Gavin Gruesome Newsom. Bernie Schmiegel Sanders. Diane Older Than Feinstein. Lori Beetlejuice Lightfoot. Merrick This Land Is My Land Garland. John A Horse Is a Horse, of course, Carrie. If he'd come on, that fits. Looks like Mr. Ed. Jerry Front Button Adler. Corrine Vaccine Jean Pierre. Oh, tarred and feathered. Who else we got on the list? Oh, we got Wheezy Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah. Joy Gottar Behar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she gets tarred and feathered. Stephen Dead Air Colbert. Yep. And we got Jimmy Double Dribble Kimmel. And anyone else I forgot. This is just a joke, people. I'm not saying to do this. I'm not advocating this. It's just a joke. Some of these are jokes. It's just something funny. It just would be, if you think about it, I remember growing up like watching those old cartoons and you'd see, they'd tar and feather somebody, and you'd see the character in the cartoon just like wandering down the road by themselves. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? Especially back then. With Joseph Smith, he said that, you know, his followers were over at his house or whatever, and they were, I guess, the pine tar dries. Now, I've gone through tons of pine tar. I used to have, you know, a squeeze bottle of it all the time in my bat bag because I put it on my baseball bats, but I never noticed it like getting hard like that. But maybe once you heat it up to that point, because it said they were like picking it off, and it was, you know, it was like his skin was coming off with it. It said it was bad, but he had the tenacity to go, and he went and preached the next day. I mean, regardless of whether you agree with anything to do with the Latter Day, I mean, you got to give the dude. I mean, you got tarred and feathered, and you went out the next day and gave a sermon. I mean, you know. That's some big knockers right there, man. That's some cojones. I mean, that's some tenacity. I mean, I don't know many people that get tarred and feathered and be out there the next day, you know. And I'm not positive, you know. I mean, I've read enough of well, I mean, you need to get into it. Everybody knows where I'm at with that whole thing, and then, you know, I like LDS people. I have no issue whatsoever with the Mormon folks. I think they're really good people. Sure, I mean, without a doubt, great people. Never, ever, ever had a single issue with anybody affiliated with the Mormon Church. I've got nothing but good things to say about them. So, you know, anybody that's gonna say, "Oh, that's a cult," and well, so is whatever you're involved in. You could say anything. I mean, you know, any number of things that you might be involved in could be considered cultish if you stop and think about it. I mean, we do a lot of dumb shit that's kind of cult behavior. So, anyway, what I wanted to get at, though, was that, I mean, really, people in Ohio, you need to get out of that place. If you're around, you know, East Palestine, anywhere where you can see that black cloud, I would get to a different state. I would not go the way the wind's blowing. I would go the opposite way. Because that cloud of shit, I mean, even when you can't see it, it's still going to be out there, you know, in the atmosphere, and it's going to be falling all over everything. And there's going to be some, I mean, literally, there's going to be fallout from this for quite some time, and it's really going to hit this year. I mean, we're right around the corner from, you know, a time when it's time to start, you know, planting crops. This is going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue with people's health. And here we are, we're going to have another problem with food. You know, chickens are dying. Great. Eggs are $8 a dozen. What are we going to do when they're $16 a dozen? I mean, and you've got, here's the guy, our guy, just decides to fly in that fucking jet over to Ukraine so he can grandstand. For what? There's nothing that he could not have accomplished with a Zoom meeting, and it would have been better. He would have had nap time. He could have had his ice cream. He wouldn't have had to get jet lag. No, we spend $206,000 per hour to fly Air Force One, to fly that derelict, decrepit, deranged old man over there. Why? When do we say enough? We've got all these problems. He hates petroleum. You already know that. But yet he gets on that jet and he just flies wherever, whenever he wants to, and we pay for it. And we just go, when's everybody going to stand up and say, you know what? Hey, guess what, homeboy? You're not going anywhere anymore. No place. He should not be allowed to travel anywhere that is not powered by him. I mean, he obviously can't ride a bike. I mean, he should not be transported anywhere with a fuel burning vehicle, is my point. No helicopters, no motorcades, nothing. No Air Force One. You know, why are we doing that? How much rocket fuel do you think that we burned up? How much jet fuel did we burn up on him going over there to get up in front of these Ukrainian oligarchs in front of that little Zelensky with his little green shirt on. You know, I mean, I don't know what that's all about. Whatever. None of my business. Not my circus, not my monkeys. And I don't think it should be our monkeys either. I think that's the stance we should have on this thing. This is not our circus, not our monkeys. He gets up there. He promises another $500 million. Another $500 million to Ukraine. While people are homeless and starving here. While we have, what's going to turn out to be a very large portion of our country is going to be in a bad way because of this nightmare that just transpired. And they can blame Donald Trump all they want. That's the first thing. Booty geek. That's all he can do. That guy's so brain dead. I mean, this dude couldn't fix potholes in South Bend, Indiana when he was the mayor. Okay? Now he's the Secretary of Transportation. Why are they not doing the upkeep on these trains? You know? It wasn't but, 100 years? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the train was like the main way that things moved around the United States. You know? I mean, that was the big westward expansion was the railroad, you know? I mean, why wouldn't we keep the maintenance up? I mean, and that railway company that was responsible for the accident, they made a record amount of money last year. Even though the railway workers almost went on strike. And I don't know what kind of deal they finally came up with, but I mean, when the company's making all this money and you've got workers that are so disgruntled that they're just ready to strike and quit, I don't know. And then you're not upkeeping it's just like anything, airplanes, anything, vehicles. You got to upkeep them. You got to do the maintenance. You can't be riding around in something that's got brakes that are just, I mean, that's what this thing looked like. The video I saw, I'd say a wheel locked up, brake something. Cause enough friction. I mean, when you're dragging it down an iron train track, I mean, you're going to get a lot of heat. And, you get one of those wheels melting. One car is all it takes. And that whole train's coming off. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. It's a huge deal. And then to go out there and just let these guys that did this, they're the ones that can clean it up. Okay, well, you guys, you're competent enough that you could dump 20 cars of horrible toxic chemicals. We're just going to leave it to you guys to clean it up because we think that you guys have the, you got what it takes. I mean, can you imagine going out there and, looking at, oh, Bob, what do you think? I don't know. Shit. You got your cigarette lighter there, Tim? Just clear everybody out. Let's light her up. Boom. The thing looked like a goddamn nuclear bomb went off. I mean, horrible. And these poor people are just sitting there going, what in the hell? They're leaving their animals, their livestock. They're losing livestock, leaving pets behind. Kids getting exposed to this. Everybody getting exposed to this shit. This is not good stuff, people. So please, I'm not even joking at all. I'm not joking. If I need to, I'll come back and do another podcast later, and I can break down every one of these chemicals. I've got all the MSDS sheets pulled up and saved in front of me. I've read through them all. But let me tell you, every one of these chemicals is basically under the OSHA standards, and anybody that's reasonable is you're wearing a full-on chemical suit. That's boots, gloves, and I'm talking like the high-end stuff. That's things aren't going to leak through. And then when you're done, you have to either have these, whatever you're wearing, basically is going to have to be disposed of. Or they're going to have a way of some kind of a, what do they call it? When you're in a lab, like the airlock or whatever we go into, they shoot you with the stuff. I don't even know if they can do that with this stuff. Everything I read about it said that clothing needs to either have some way to clean it, or it's got to be disposed of. That's how bad this stuff is. You don't want it anywhere near you. Your skin, your eyes, damn sure don't want to breathe it. And all these people out there have been breathing it. And I feel so bad for them because they listened to what the government told them to do. So hopefully this reaches some people. Like I said, if you know anybody out in Ohio at all, please forward this on to them or call them. Say, hey, you got family out there, friends. I'm trying to think whoever else I know out there that might be close to it. I don't think there's anybody I can think of off the top of my head. Charlie was the only one I know that was close to it. I got some friends like in Cleveland, and who knows? I mean, who knows what's going to be out of the reach of this thing when it's all said and done? I mean, this big old ball of smoke floating around out there. I mean, just because it isn't black doesn't mean it's not out there in the sky. Just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's. I mean, like I said, I'm talking 1 part per million, and we're looking at, it's wintertime. There's still going to be more precipitation, so we're looking at the fallout of this thing being acid rain. Because what did I say it converted into? Hydrochloric acid. That's what happens when that stuff burns. That's what these geniuses came up with. The only thing I can think of, and I'm not an expert in the matter, but my only answer to it would have been encase it. Encase it all. Find wherever you can get clay and get some guys out there, get them suited up. Big old dump trucks, everybody suited up, proper safety gear. You know those guys out there lighting that shit on fire, they weren't wearing the right shit. And it speaks volumes, too, that they had a town hall in East Palestine, and the railroad company didn't show up, and they were supposed to. They knew what they'd done, and they didn't even want their people around. And you reporters out there that are fucking around in this stuff, get your asses out of there. Everybody, get out. I'm telling you. If you listen to me, you're going to thank me one day. If you don't listen to me, I don't know. I just hope that you do, because this is serious. This is not a joke. It's not, it's not a, oh, well, big deal type thing. This isn't like a paint thinner spill. This is nasty stuff. This stuff has a boiling point of 8 degrees. That's just, think of that. 8 degrees. Think of that. I mean, to me, all I got to do, what's that? That's 24 degrees below freezing, right? That's kind of crazy. That something can boil when it's 24 degrees below freezing? I don't know. Freezing's 32. If that stuff boils at 8, that's pretty weird stuff. It's probably one of those things that maybe we shouldn't mess around with too much anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's one of those things we can get a reverse engineer it, do something, because that's pretty. That's weird shit. I still don't understand it. However, I know that that's the fact. When I read that last night, I thought for sure I was getting some bad information. I double checked, triple checked it. Looked into it through some different chemists, YouTube stations, and everything came back the same. I was like, how can something boil at 8 degrees? This stuff can and does. So if you're out there, I hope you're well in Ohio. If you're out there, I really do hope you turn around and you get the hell out of there. Don't stick around and argue with idiots. Don't, it sucks if you got to leave pets and livestock behind, but, you got to ask yourself what's more important, And for those of you that have been back inside and taken showers and gotten rashes and all this other stuff, get out. Get out now, because, you don't know what you've done to yourself already. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger or anything, but you need to understand what you're dealing with. It's not benign. It's not something that you can just go back into. It's not going to work like that. This is going to be a long, drawn-out deal. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody in that area that's affected by this is deserving of big-time compensation. Because a lot of people are going to, you're going to have to start your life over somewhere else. I don't think you're going to be going back there. It is going to be like Chernobyl of America. And in the meantime, we got that going on here. And where's Joe Biden? Gallivanting around in the Ukraine. Why'd he go over there? Kind of weird, huh? Kind of weird after, let's get in this, after Cy Hirsch puts out his piece of journalism about the United States being behind the Nord Stream 2 pipeline explosion. Huh. Weird. You haven't heard any of that on the media either, have you? Weird Biden would go over there right after that came out, huh? Odd. What else is he doing over there? Padding his bank account. Did Hunty go with him? I wonder if Hunty went with him. I bet he did. He wanted to go see, he wanted to go see his buddies, his little Burisma buddies, for old time's sake. See if he can weasel him out of some money with the big guy, I wonder if Jim Biden went with him. I bet he did. I bet they had a nice little plane ride over there. Just, probably nothing nefarious going on at all. Who would, not Joe Biden, not Scranton Joe. Not when his state's about ready to go to hell. I mean, he don't care. That shows you how much he cares. This guy does not care about the people in this country, period. And it's not a country, it's a corporation. He doesn't care about his corporation. Bottom line. Anyway, people, get the hell out of there. Get gone. Give it taillights as soon as you possibly can, because what they're telling you is bullshit. It's all a lie. It's not true. Okay? Hopefully this is coming through. I just had to turn this thing up and down and up and down. Hopefully, I think that's just hopefully the audio came through. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I just realized I had one of my volume things turned down. So on that note, I'm out of here. Get out. Now. I'm dead serious. I'm not, this is not me joking around. And just, I'm not sensationalizing any of this. This is serious business. It's life and death. Peace.